Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at Peopleware Chapter 5, which is called Parkinson's Law Revisited. Parkinson's Law is something I unwittingly alluded to in the last chapter, and it's probably something that you come up with on your own if you thought about it, because knowing how people work, it kind of comes up as fairly intuitive. So the idea is this. Work expands to take the time allotted to it. And whether or not that's actually true isn't necessarily important, or I should say, not as important as the consequence of it. Namely, that if a manager believes that, he'll say to himself, okay, if we want more work done faster, then the idea is we'll make an impossible deadline and people will adjust accordingly and we'll be able to get more done faster. So that's sort of the premise. Now, to be fair, Parkinson himself wasn't a scientist, and so calling it a law is sort of a misnomer, and it's more like a parody of government bureaucracies. But at the same time, there's also a little bit of truth in it, or seemingly a bit of truth in it, and that's sort of what makes it seem like it's generally applicable to business as well. The the I should say, almost to like combat that philosophy, the thing to think about is the idea of people get, for the most part, ideally people get some satisfaction from doing their jobs, and so there isn't an incentive for them to take forever to get their projects done. That just delays the gratification they'll get to enjoy or experience from finishing their work. So assuming that's the case for you and your people, then Parkinson's law doesn't really apply. It's not worth disregarding totally, but for the most part, it probably doesn't apply. And when I say that, that comes with the fact that it doesn't universally apply. There's a however, right? And it's a big however, because there are certainly some people who just can't or won't get their work done, regardless of the schedule. And this might be due to a lack of understanding or a lack of motivation, a lack of confidence, or the project might just be entirely too difficult to handle. And in cases like that, the solution isn't to make an aggressive deadline. In that case, you want to utilize the other team members to help that person, to the extent that that's realistic. The next section of the chapter talks about a study from the University of New South Wales, where the researchers were trying to figure out if programmers would be more productive if they set their own estimates for how long a project would take. And the answer, which is drawn out in more detail in the book, is that yes, that is the case. With a sample size of 103 projects and a standard measure of productivity that isn't expounded on in the text, we learned that people are least productive when time estimates are handed to them with the projects, and most productive when they make the estimates themselves. And somewhere in the middle, when, you might have guessed, the estimation was done in tandem between the programmers and the supervisors. So having an overly enthusiastic manager who just hands down an aggressive deadline will likely not only be disappointed, but is also working counterproductively to the staff's productivity, since they'll end up being demoralized by how little time is allotted for what they need to accomplish. And conversely, management that was the most hands-off enjoyed the highest productivity from their teams. That's a really important thing to think about, and the authors wrap up that section with this great tidbit, that the decision to pressure a team is kind of like punishing your child. If you do it rarely and the timing is right so that your kid understands why you're doing it, it has the potential to have a good outcome, like your kid behaves better and stops being naughty or whatnot. But if you punish your kid a lot, chances are something is actually going on with you. And, and that's worth thinking about, both in parenting and in team management. So the authors wrap up the chapter with a variation of Parkinson's law, and they relate it like this. This is a great quote. Organizational busy work tends to expand to fill the working day. Organizational busy work tends to expand to fill the working day. In other words, management might just put extra nonsense on people's plates because they want to make it look like they're adding value when they're just making their staff's lives worse and kind of hamstringing the team even. I might have mentioned this example from before, seeing middle management try to be a contributing member of an organization by creating a lot of meetings for their people to go to. And it's that sort of thing that drives a business under. If you put in the effort to hire good people, which you should have, then you should trust them to be good employees and self-manage on a day-to-day basis as well. So that's all for chapter 5. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one.